Ferdinand, Mustafa, very good afternoon to both of you. Thank you very much for being on the Inspire and Connect set. Appreciate you guys coming in and for your time. Let's kick straight off. Ferdinand, professional athlete, multiple medal winner in different places. Mustafa, you're doing BPI France's Les Meneurs project to look at the community of sports and how you can help sport become more profitable
market,
and a
yes.
big market.
Sports market.
And here we're looking at entrepreneurship at this conference, looking at connections and entrepreneurship. Ferdinand, tell me, from a sporting point of view, the sacrifices that you made to get to where you are versus how entrepreneurs sacrifice to build their businesses. You see the similarities in that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities because, you know, for professional sports, you just don't start today and you become successful tomorrow. It doesn't take even a year. For me, it took me 6 months to become a challenger in the world sprinting. So it's the same way to business. Business, you just can't pick it up today and then it grows and becomes big in the next year. It's a call of patience and consistency, and just never giving up, never losing up, never lose hope in what you believe in. Same way in track, and it has really gone a long way in helping me open different kind of businesses because I can relate. I can put that relation to personal life, business, sports life.
And you are launching a foundation, or you have a foundation that does what? Can you tell us a little bit about your foundation?
Yeah, so basically the foundation will be, the main core business of the foundation will be to professionalize sports. And sports has been taken as a hobby for a long time, and it's something that can be a career, especially from this part of the world. And most of our parents are forcing our children to just go to school and, you know, get the education and get the jobs. But now that's the perception we want to change through the foundation. We want to bring money into the sports. We want to put money into the pockets of athletes. We want athletes to at least appreciate the role of their talent plays in their lives. So that's the main aim for the foundation. A short-term goal, we want to start with sprinting because that's who I am. And we want to professionalize and have so many professional sprinters from this side of the world. And by that I mean I want to have sprinters come after me. I don't want to have a gap of like 60 years that there was someone called OMANYALA was running for the country. I want to have a sprinter or sprinters coming up every year. So with that, at least I know how the game is. I know how the game works. So now I'll just guide them through that.
Mustafa, let's talk about what your project is doing and what you plan to do with BPI.
Yeah, sure. In BPI France, actually, we are working on the sports business markets since for 10 years. And at first, that consists to sponsor French clubs in our regions. And it was important because it permits to our customers, our companies, our SMEs, to have a connection with the ecosystem of the sports clubs, so professional sports clubs like basketball, football, hockey, etc. And at the beginning of this year, we had a shift on something more global because we realized that the sport markets was very closed and very fragmented. So we decided to launch a sport definition event, and that was a major event to bring together all the key decision makers and to permit companies, SMEs, and all sport economy to grow together. This is something on BPI France mission. It's to create opportunities for entrepreneurs and the markets to emerge and to grow. So that's why we created now 4 verticals on the Les Meneurs community with Les Meneurs sports clubs, Les Meneurs tech with startups to bring innovation in the sports, in data, in cybersecurity, in fan experience. We also create Les Meneurs SMEs for those who want to win market shares on big major events like Olympic Games, World Cups. And finally, we created Lemoneur invests with all the investment funds who want to dedicate investment for developing a sports branch. So very much activity, and I understand totally Ferdinand when he say sportsmen are like entrepreneurs, because there is something you have to work every day. It's not a sprint, actually.
It's a marathon.
It's a marathon, yeah, but sprints you have to train for years before you can run those seconds.
I mean, sport is big money globally. It's one of the largest money-generating things in the world. But yet it doesn't, in professional football and basketball and NFL and you can see the money trickling down to the athletes or to the competitors. But in athletics, it takes a long, I mean, athletes have changed nationalities in order to just be able to make a living, because their own countries don't represent or don't look after them well enough. How is that? How does this sort of, training young sprinters is great, Ferdinand, but then making them self-sufficient and not having to run for money, but being paid well. Why can't we have a good salary structure in sport? Does that, because it's an amateur sport as opposed to professional? Why don't you guys get paid what professional footballers get paid? Because then you won't have to run looking for sponsorship and going and begging to Nike and all the others to give you stuff. You'd be earning a good salary. It's going to be your entire career. You don't have to look for side hustles. Why has that been the case?
I mean, I think that's the case because there's not much light into athletics. Other sports like NFL you mentioned, if you look at the viewership that NFL is getting, it's a lot. And they have the money because companies are investing into the sport. If a company knows that it's going to get a viewership of 100 million viewers, then the money is worth it. So the same thing we want to bring to athletics, because it's termed like athletes just come, run and go. They don't really look back and see how they can make the sport better.
So even with the current TV atmosphere and social media, I mean, the Olympics gets millions, tens of hundreds of millions of people viewing
because the Olympics has different sports. But how many millions of people watch specifically athletics? And with that, that's where now I'm saying the foundation comes in, because we want to empower these athletes. Because again, you can't really come and express yourself in front of people and then you expect people to put their money in you. So you want to get these athletes to understand that education is one thing very important, because now that comes in a long way to help you just express yourself and become a brand. Most of our athletes are just athletes. They really don't have that brand part of them, because I tell athletes, athletics is one thing, running on track is one thing, but being who you are outside the track is what is going to bring money to your pocket.
I think there is something very important to organize when we organize major international sports events like the Olympics, because that brings the light on the sports. In the case of the Olympics, it's multi-sports, but there is also competition, World Cup competition for sports. I think Kenya has applied to organize the
29 World Championships,
and I think that's the opportunity also to create value of a sport, and that's why what we want to do with our company in Lemoneur is how we go international, and we go to bring and to win some market share, because I think as soon as we do like this, we can dedicate some investment and private investment on sports, and I think it's the key to develop the audience.
How do you deal with, and this is more sort of an African issue, how do you deal with all the sort of shenanigans that happen with all these athletic bodies? Look at Kenya, whether it's the football side or, all the corruption, all the, the funds going missing. It really is detrimental to the sport, and to something that gives us huge pride in the world that we have the best athletes, especially runners in the world. How does one deal with that? Well, how do you deal with all that politics? How do you teach the next generation to deal with that?
So one thing I'll be so passionate about and just teach these athletes is don't really depend on what the government is giving you. Don't really depend on the federation. Be your own company, be your own brand. I mean, for me right now, I can as well sit out all the national competitions, but still earn my money through the Diamond Leagues, through the private events, and through branding and just the endorsements that I get. So I want to teach athletes that don't really depend only on what the government is giving you, because sometimes it fails you. You find you're getting into a sport and then 3 years later is when you're being paid your allowance. You can't depend on that. So I advise athletes have different ways of making money as an athlete. And that's one thing that we really have to teach our athletes.
Gentlemen, we could go on forever. This is a topic that's very close to my heart, as you can tell, but we've run out of time, unfortunately. Thank you both for being part of the set. Appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thank
you so much, and
I
continue to inspire, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.